Hello, good morning. Today we're going to talk about erosion, geohazard, and soil formation. So I'll be sharing with you PowerPoint presentation that shows this information. And shortly, we will begin with erosion, and the succeeding task will be related to web search and would require you to upload some documents. So I'll be sharing with you this presentation right now, and all you gotta do is to listen shortly and respond on the checkup questions after. All right, let me just go back to the presentation format. Okay, so this is about erosion. So for some of you who was with me yesterday or were with me yesterday, we have discussed uh, some information about chemical weathering. We've closed it on a check-up question or exit ticket that is requiring you to identify what kind of chemical weathering that takes place or that happened. Again, chemical weathering is when the materials or the rock had changed that caused them to either break down, dissolve via oxidation, um, acidic precipitation, organic acid, what we call hydrolysis, and all these weathering agents would cause the breaking of rocks. So the fate of those particles that is from the big chunk of rock will go through the process called erosion. So what is erosion? Erosion is basically the removal and transportation of materials from one place to another. So meaning there's the materials that has been removed or that has fell or that has fall from the rock chunk will move from one place to another, and now they are easily eroded. So this is due to the gravity and other agents of erosion such as wind, water, and glaciers. Some location would also allow sea waves or ocean current to permit the transportation of one material to the next, and that is true again, ocean currents or sea waves. So here are the fate or the next thing that would happen to the particles. Particles of rocks can also be considered or called as sediments. So sediments will be eroded, and they're not really lost from earth, but they are just relocated. So during the process of erosion, some of them will be dropped off from one location, and over time will go through deposition, or these materials will pile up and that will be deposited on a certain location. Most of this process called deposition is seen under the ground or under the ocean floor, and that leads to the formation of the next type of rock, such as the sedimentary rocks. Next week, we will be understanding how sedimentary rocks are formed, but at this time, this is the preview. So sediments that are piled up through the process of deposition will eventually solidify, and that would lead to the formation of sedimentary rock. So the transportation must take place, or erosion must happen. The movement of the particles should happen, and then eventually it will be deposited to one place, and eventually it's going to solidify to form another type of rock. So overall, weathering, erosion, and deposition are like a cycle or like a team that wears down and builds up the Earth's surface. So here are the agents of erosion. There are five agents: gravity, running water, glaciers, waves, and winds. So gravity causes erosion because of the concept of mass movement. This mass movement meaning a lot or a huge scale of particles are moving down the slope because of the landslide, mudslide, or rock slides. Now, these are not funny or they are not safe when they happen. And these three concepts here lead us on to understanding the what we call geological hazard brought about by mass transportation or mass movement due to erosion. So whenever there's landslide, you know that this is gonna promote danger or hazard to the property and to human life. So as the mudslide and the rock slides. So here are the images or the examples of mudslides, landslides, and rock slides. Moving forward, this mass movement could rapidly go downhill via mud flow or could be really destructive to um, any kind of property because of the speed of going down the hill or on because of the location of the landform. Most of them can quickly go down a steep slope, and if your location is near this area, then this is gonna create some threat on your safety. Slam is a mass of rock and soil that suddenly slips down the slope. So the only difference is that the material in a slam moves on one large mass, while the um, the other materials could be just some amount. So creep is a very slow downhill movement of rock and soil, meaning when you wouldn't really recognize them, but you would see the changes on the level of the ground. And I'm sure that when you do your afternoon walks or if you do some of your activities in your community, you would recognize that there are some uneven location on the ground. So for today, this is our self check. You're gonna write down what is erosion if you haven't done this, and you're going to have to also identify what kind of mass movement is shown in the illustration and what are the type or what are the five agents of erosion. If you have done all of these things, um, so this is going to be like the self check for cohort B and for cohort A who haven't done this part yet. Now, if in case you have done this, the second thing that you gotta do is, of course, to choose one of the five agents of erosion and look for an image that reflects them. Again, part two of this activity requires you to choose one out of the five agents of erosion and choose an image that reflects them. All these things will be seen in a Google form in a short while. So that's it for this morning. And make sure that you have turned in your rock project in the forms, or you have sent it to me, or you have given it to me physically, or the printed copy in person yesterday for cohort A. And for cohort B coming tomorrow, make sure that you'll have with you your rock project as well. So that's it, and I hope you have a great day ahead. Bye bye.